White people are the minority. And before I even get fully into the claim, the first thing you have to ask yourself is what actually makes up a minority? And I think it falls under two really basic things. The first thing is that it's a group of people, specifically being of a lesser population than another. And the second thing is that they are oppressed, whether that's socially, economically, legally, etc., etc. You understand the premise. So the first one is the population thing, right? First of all, non-white Americans are currently on track to becoming a minority. I'm not going to sit here and provide you the statistics. If you want to fact check me, look it up for yourself. But as for the total global population, there are already less white people than there are black. I believe the white population lies somewhere around at 7 to 9%, and the black population is around 12 to 14. Don't quote me 100% on this. I don't know the exact number, but I can say 100% confidently that there are less white people globally than there are black people. But I don't think that alone actually makes white people a minority. I don't think even if there were more white people, I actually think that they would still be a minority. And that's because of the second reason. So it has, for me, it has nothing to do with the population size. That honestly just strengthens my argument. The second thing is them being oppressed. And I said socially, I said economically, and I said legally. And right now, I think it's all three and then some. So the first one is socially, mostly social media. Thank God it's in the name. Right now, it has become the norm to love black people and to hate white people. If you were to say, I hate white people, that's kind of just normal. People would be like, okay, whatever. Or like, oh my gosh, I agree with you. But if you were to say, I hate black people, you are racist. You deserve every bad thing that comes to you. I hope you are burned at a stake. These are all the types of messages I get, and I've never once claimed that I hate black people. But again, you say you hate white people, it's totally fine. So I feel like that alone should be enough evidence for some people to realize there is something wrong, that you are allowed to say you hate one race and it's fine, but you can't say that you hate another race because that's bad. But the reason they think it's bad is because they think they're still a minority when they aren't. We've already talked about how they are a larger population, but now it is socially acceptable for black people to be held above white people. And when I say this happens on social media, I don't just mean like, oh, some people post about it on TikTok. This is everywhere. This is Twitter. This is Twitter. This is Instagram. This is Facebook. This is TikTok. This is everything. When I say economically, I mostly mean job wise. There used to be a time where black people were discriminated against and they felt like it was harder for them to get jobs. And sure, there probably was a time where that was a thing. But now we're coming to a time where I'm not going to say that it's impossible for white people to get jobs. I sure as shit never had a problem getting one. But it's definitely becoming easier for black people to get one than white people. And listen, I'm all for diversity. I think that having diversity is great. But I think the only thing that matters more than diversity, my leg itches. I think the only thing that matters more than diversity is unity. But we're not seeing unity anymore. We're actually seeing race diversify, where you walk into a job and you're a black man and they say, oh my gosh, we need more black people, you're in. And you don't have to be as qualified for the job as a white man. But if a qualified white man walks in alongside the black man, there even if you're a more qualified white man, you're more likely to be picked as a black man. There is no issue with black people getting jobs anymore. If you genuinely believe that, you have been psyoped and brainwashed. It does not exist. The fact that there is an entire DEI dedicated to helping the minorities get job when the minority isn't even black people anymore. And then I'll see people say, "Oh, well, it mostly benefits white women." Well, you have to keep in mind minorities don't just mean race. It can also mean gender, it can also mean ethnicity, religion. And in this case, it's helping women because there's also a whole thing with with women saying that they have a harder time getting jobs because they're all male dominated fields, which is a completely separate topic. But you see that DEI is trying to solve an issue that isn't even there. And even if it was, I understand that the intention behind DEI is good, but it's inherently racist because at the end of the day, it's prioritizing race over actual competency. When it comes to the hiring, that's why Charlie Kirk said that if he gets on a plane and sees a black pilot, he sure as shit hopes he's qualified. And it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that he's black. Just because you're black doesn't mean you're bad for the job or you're unqualified. It simply means that he hopes he was actually hired because he's a competent and qualified person rather than just he was hired because he was black. So that already goes to show how white people are the minority both socially and economically. But I think the most concerning one is legally. If you are anything like me, you have seen lately that a white woman, or I believe her to be, was found guilty for, I think it was disorderly conduct, for saying the N word. Now, don't get me wrong, she was in public openly using the hard R and called this, I believe it was a Somalian man, don't quote me, the hard R multiple times. However, when you go back and watch the video, you'll see that apparently she said it to her own child, which, listen, I don't think you should be hard eyeing your own child, but who am I to tell you how to parent? The real issue lies in the fact that this Somalian man who had a history of being a criminal and doing some heinous shit pressed a camera in front of this woman and then told her to say it multiple times. And then she did. She did. She did exactly what he asked. And at the end of the day, she was enacting her free speech. That is her First Amendment right. She is allowed to say that. You might not like it. You could even categorize it as hate speech. But at the end of the day, I am allowed to say the hard R, and I can call you that as much as I want. It'd be different if she was like following this man or going up to this man and calling him the hard R. But she was literally pressed with the camera in front of her face and she told him to mind his own business. And in the video, even when she's saying it, you can see her walking away. Now, I will go more in depth to this specific situation. This is really just one example for my argument. But the point being that this is becoming scary because it's starting to become real. They're starting to use white people as an example when it comes to the justice system specifically. And I honestly think they're just testing us to see how much they can get away with. Are the white people going to start a revolution off of this white woman being found guilty for saying the N word? Or are they going to just complain about it but not do anything about it? What happens when we don't do anything about it? It's going to happen more and more and more to the point to where white people aren't allowed to do anything. White people are going to have a harder time getting jobs. They're not going to be allowed to say shit, and that applies to both the court of justice and social media, socially, whatever the fuck you want me to say. This is becoming an issue. I don't think it's a big issue now. I think the issue lies in where this is going. So then you could ask me, why do I care so much? Because I'm tired of people being silenced. This goes directly back into my message that I preached in my first video, being that I hate silencing. I really don't care if you disagree with me. If you think black people are the minority, if you think they have a harder time getting jobs, if you think that all white people are racist, honestly, at this point, I do not care. You are allowed to have whatever opinion you want. And at the end of the day, your perspective is different than mine. I have not lived the life you live. My issue isn't with your opinion. It's with silencing those that disagree with you. So the reason I hate this so fucking much is not only because I'm part white, but we're seeing the silencing of our own kind. White people built this land, they colonized this land, they developed most of your Western technology, that being your Wi-Fi that you're watching this with, the phone or the computer or the iPad that you're watching this on, the language that you're listening to me speak, which if you're listening to it, clearly means you speak it and understand it. We're seeing the great silencing of whites we're becoming the minority. We need to do something about it.